covered 4,500 villages. And these people, normally they use in very traditional way. It took them like we went to a rural area. It took the farmers 2 hours to work to the downtown in the middle of the town and buy things. But today, because the mobile phone, and we can deliver things to their home, to their village within 72 hours. I remember last week I read a very interesting news. This is amazing. There is a girl, she told me a story. She said her grandfather, 92 years old birthday. And for his life, he always wanted to try one Western style food. But he lived in the rural areas. There's no such restaurant food. So she said, I tried on the internet, book a restaurant dinner for Western food, delivered to that village. And they finally immediately find one restaurant. There are 3 guys. They took like a 3 days bus from Shanghai to that village, made an Italian spaghetti and beef for them for this 92 years old birthday. And whole village was excited. Everybody said, wow, you can order food, Western style food. So buying almost everything. And also we're helping, there are a lot of farmers, they plant a lot of apples, great apples. But 90% of the apples rotted because there's nobody buy them. They normally buy by track. If you sell the apples, they sell whole track. And using the traditional way, they can sell by whole basket of the apples. But now, because of the internet, they sell by one. Each apple, they sell $1. Or 1 RMB or 2 RMB for each. So the farmers see using internet, they can buy and sell using the mobile phone. That changed their lives. And I think it's exciting. And people need examples when they see, my neighbor made money through online to selling things. My neighbor buy much interesting things online. People start to learn. And more people start to buy the mobile phones. We cannot make all the mobile factories to sell phones to them. Only they know the mobile phone really works, helping change their lives, they start to buy the mobile phones.
Just one more question. And then, do you think this will make the current problems like the current problem in China less likely? That is, if we'll have more market information and the market will drive where the investment goes instead of the government trying to make judgments about, I better build another housing development or office development here, there, yonder, and you wound up with a bubble. If it comes from the bottom up, is it more likely that fewer bad things will happen?
Yeah, I think last week I was in Seattle discussing about the China economy. I think you American people worry too much about the China economy. Well, you see, every time when you start to worry about China goes better. Every time you think China is in problem, we'll get better. But when you have to say, you have a high expectation of China always a problem. Like parents have the expectation of the kids, are the same. But there's a big difference between American consumption because people say, the economy is bad, so China consumption will be good low. No, totally different. You Americans love to spend tomorrow's money. And the other people's money, maybe. Or maybe the children's money. We Chinese love to save money. We are probably the largest country, the safe deposit in the whole world because we've been poor for so many years. When we make money, we put in the banks because someday we know the disaster is coming, so we can spend the money. So when the economy is bad, we still have the money to spend. You guys probably don't. You worry. And the second thing is that China been focusing on developing for the past 30 years. China government so strong on investment, so strong on exporting, but they are too weak on the domestic consumptions. Domestic consumption is not driven by government, it's driven by entrepreneurship, driven by the market, not the government. So in the past 20 years, government is so strong. Now they're getting weak. It's our opportunity. It's our showtime. to see the market economy, entrepreneurship, how we can develop the real consumption. I think if the China developed the great consumption, we have a 300 million middle class. In next 15 to 20 years, we're going to have 500 million middle class. We need to import a lot. So when we start to import, that's a great. I worry a lot when we export. When we export, we got a terrible sky, we have a terrible water, we have a terrible environment. When we start to import, we got to be better. So that's all the great opportunity, guys. Be happy about that. I'm serious.
I agree with that.
I'm serious. Yeah. Worry about yourself. Don't worry about the others.
The reason some of us worry about China is we depend on you to buy our debt. However, I tried to be more Chinese when I was president. I saved a lot of money. So
good. Good.
But I just wanted you to say that because I really believe that. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. The trend toward greater internal consumption I think, will remain unbroken in spite of whatever the difficulties are in the next few months. I think it's important not to overreact. You can't break the trend. You've got to clean up the land from chemical contaminants. You've got to clean up the air. You're going to do it. Yep. And a lot of Chinese will make a lot of money out of that. There'll be a lot of great new companies, and there'll be opportunities to import from other places.
Yeah.
So can you discuss your theory of what you're doing and other things in terms of whether it advances equal opportunity and social solidarity? Tell them what you think is going to happen. And what other kinds of, when your opening remarks, you just said technology is going to be active in this way in other areas of the economy. What do you think the next big opportunities are? But first, tell them just in 2 sentences what you're doing, because Jack and I know, and we haven't been clear enough. Explain it, and explain how you think that advances social solidarity and equality of opportunity.
Well, our work is in the belief that access to health information is a basic human right. And that lab information, particularly because lab data drives 70% of clinical decisions, needs to be accessible to people before they're sick. So if you look at the word diagnose in the dictionary today, it says to determine the presence of disease from symptoms, which means by definition, we're determining that people are sick once a disease has already progressed. And our work is in being able to make lab testing accessible to people in time for therapy to be effected, and to do that in a way in which every person, irrespective of their insurance status, irrespective of where they live, can afford the ability to get a test done. So that means, in our case, we've invested the last 12 years in now developing hundreds of tests, many of which are less than $10. So $2 tests in the United States. And I think one of the amazing things about this country is that we have such an incredible ecosystem for fueling creativity, and that creativity can create new markets. So in answer to your question about the market being able to conform itself to social good, I think the creativity that goes into creating these new technologies creates new markets in and of themselves. And our basic belief is that those new markets come from empowering individuals and enfranchising individuals and trusting that individuals have the capability to engage with information, and in accessing that information, beginning to take control of their own outcomes and their own health outcomes, and in doing so, changing the way our healthcare system works.
Think what this could mean for rural China, for rural India, for Native American reservations in America, for the Mississippi Delta, for the remote areas of where all the jobs were lost from coal. You're all of a sudden giving people information, and one of the most important things I think we did